Hola y bienvenidos. Welcome to Spanish Interactive Live for the first time. Thanks for joining me. If you're joining me live or if you're going to be joining me later on, today is going to be the first time that I explain some things in the first Spanish lesson that you'll have, and we'll talk about how things are going to go from here on out and what's the best way for us to do this. So first I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And like I said, since this is my first time, it's going to take me a second to figure this all out. But we will get it. Figured out, so in the future I won't have to do this. Okay. So here we go. Okay, ready to go. So first of all, like I said, this little group that I'm creating is going to be called Spanish Interactive. And the reason it's interactive is because that's the only way you can actually learn a language, from my perspective, is by interacting in one way or another with the language and with other people who speak it and are learning it. So why Spanish? Why would you want to learn Spanish? Well, first of all, there are 400 million speakers, officially making it the second most popular language, although these numbers can be disputed by many. Second most popular only to Chinese, and that number is a little bit in dispute because they group a bunch of languages where people couldn't even speak to each other and call them one language. So technically speaking, Spanish is the most popular language, even more popular language for native speakers in the world. So why wouldn't you want to learn it, right? Number 2 in the world. So here's some reasons that you might be interested in learning Spanish. You might have school homework. You might be in high school. You might be in college. You might want to learn it for work. Maybe it'll get you a better job. Maybe it'll help you. You might want to learn it because you like to travel and you want to go to South America or Spain. And the most important of all, it's just really fun to be able to speak 2 different languages. So why would you want to learn with me? I mean, there's many other ways. First of all, most importantly, this is free. So you don't have to sign up for college class. You don't have to get a tutor that's $50 an hour. You don't have to do any of that. This is completely free to you. But second of all, I've been learning, speaking, and loving Spanish since 2001. It gives me about 17 plus years of experience with this language, and I've become pretty fluent as the days have gone on. And I've learned a lot of tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you, and that's the most important part. So I've spent 5 years of my life living in Spanish-speaking countries, Mexico and Puerto Rico. I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish, and I also have some graduate school. I didn't finish, but I'm able to teach at the beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. And whether you're a beginner or you're intermediate or advanced, I want to grow this group so we can all be learning and growing our language abilities. And of course, my computer freezes. Uh-oh. I think I skipped a couple there. Let's see if we go back. So I've spent time as a teaching assistant, a translator, an interpreter, all teaching and learning Spanish and improving my skills. And most of all, I'm like you. I learned Spanish as an English speaker and adult, so I know what it takes. A lot of people who teach and create Spanish programs for Spanish learning are native speakers, and so they think that as a teenager that you can learn Spanish like a native speaker would, namely being around it and being inundated with it. And it's just not the case. If you're like me, you need some rules and you need someone to kind of show you and answer your questions. Otherwise, it can get quite frustrating. So what does it take to learn Spanish? The I word, immersion. Now, a lot of people, when they think of it, this concept, they think of it as an all or nothing concept. Either you go live in Mexico or Spain or some other Spanish-speaking countries, or you just can't learn Spanish. And that's not the case. I don't want you to think about it like that. What I want you to think about it is that even though you live in the United States or another English-speaking country, you can take steps toward immersing yourself with the language. Some of the things that I did when I was learning was I would read. I would listen to Spanish. I would read simple books at first out loud. I would have my dictionary right beside me. I would listen to the radio, speak as much as I possibly could. And a lot of these things help you, which you can do even if you're living in the United States. You can do these things to improve your Spanish. You can be thinking about it during the day. You can make goals every week and make them simple goals. Learn 3 nouns, learn 3 verbs, and learn 1 rule. You can write it down on a card and carry it with you. And as you're going through the day, just glance at it if you can't remember the word. And that's kind of how I did it. And that's kind of how I learned to speak Spanish. Now, is this really free? You know, people are always skeptical of the word free because they feel like there's something at some point that's going to cost them. And I assure you, this is actually something that I'm doing truly free. But there are ways for you to help the project out, because what my project is to bring this to as many people as possible. So my goal is to take it to everyone. So the first thing that you can do to help me out, and while you're watching this, is you can go down and click subscribe on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, and also click the little bell so you get alerts when I'm live in the future, because I plan on doing this at least once a week, depending on how popular it gets. But I'm planning on doing it every Saturday at 6 p.m. Number 2 is invite your friends. Share it on your Facebook page. Share my page on your Facebook page. Tell your friends about it. Bring them to watch. Show them the videos. The more people we get involved, the more fun this will be. And third of all, if you feel like you really want to help out, I will share products, books, things that I endorse, things that I have used and enjoy, and I'll share an Amazon link. And if you click the Amazon link to get to the product, you will pay the exact same price that you would have paid anyway, but it'll give a tiny fraction of the proceeds to my group. So you can do that to buy anything. In fact, even if you click on my link for the book and you go and buy a stereo, it'll help me out. So I think we should all be clicking on these affiliate Amazon links whenever we buy something on Amazon, whether it's mine or another page that you support, because it doesn't cost any extra for you, and it just kind of helps out a group. And that way, not all of the billions of dollars go just to Amazon. It also helps other people grow their affiliations. Ahora vamos a aprender. Vamos a aprender means we are going to learn. Aprender is to learn. So I'm going to do a short lesson, and if anybody's joined me live, which I don't think this first time I'm going to have very many people, if anybody, if you're there, you can, I should be able to hear you. I haven't heard anybody yet, but even if this isn't live for you, you can go back and review it and use the tips during the week, and hopefully at one point you can join me live if your schedule permits. So first of all, we're going to learn how to say 3 pronouns to start. Most importantly, I is said yo. And a lot of these things are going to be simple and basic, and you might already know them, but it's good practice. To say you, it's either tú or usted. Normally, tú is more familiar, your family members, your friends, your associates at work. Usted is mostly used for people that are in a position of authority, whether it's your parents, your leaders at church, your boss at work. It just depends. And this is very, there's a huge variance in the way that this is distributed. So there's no 100% rule on when to use it and when not. And as a Spanish learner, I would say just stick to tú, because nobody's going to be offended by that, because they know that you're learning. Nosotros, and I put there nosotros, that doesn't help you very much, is we. Okay, so here's our first verb that we're going to learn, and the verb is ser. And in Spanish, if this is your first lesson with Spanish, verbs are conjugated. We conjugate verbs all day in English. We just don't know that that's what it's called because we learned English by speaking. Now, to conjugate a verb, you take the verb, in this case ser, in the infinitive form. The infinitive form is the unconjugated. In English, it would be to be. That's how we do the infinitive in English. And you change it a little bit. So for I am, you say yo soy. For you are, you would say tú eres. For we are, you would say nosotros somos. It's that easy. And I know I'm leaving out a lot of pronouns. I don't want to give you too much in the first lesson because I want you to have something to practice with. We will get there. And again, also if you've had Spanish class here before, you're saying, Shay, what about estar? We'll get there, don't worry. Estar is also to be, but there's a different, and there's going to be a whole lesson on when to use ser and when to use estar. But mainly you use ser when you're describing somebody. So when you say, ¿Cómo tú eres? Or ¿Cómo eres tú? Depending on what part of the world you're in. This is a question asking you, how are you? Not how are you feeling or how are you doing, but what attributes do you have? So for me, I would say yo soy alto, which means tall, inteligente, smart, y responsable. If you notice, a lot of adjectives are very similar to the way they are in English. So I'm going to use this. So you see inteligente looks just like intelligent, and you just threw an E on there. It's pretty easy, right? But remember the pronunciation I told you. It's not inteligente, it's inteligente. Responsable, responsible. Looks just the same. It's just said a little bit different. So now you can see how easy Spanish is going to be for you because there are a lot of what are called cognates. Cognates are words that look similar but are pronounced just a little bit different, but it makes it very easy to learn Spanish. So I want you to practice for yourself. Think of some things that you are. Think of some things that your friends are. And make up some sentences using these verbs. The next part of our lesson is going to be los números, the numbers. I'm going to go here one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, y 20. Those are the first 20 numbers of in Spanish. So I want you to go ahead and practice that. Go ahead and rewind the video, and as I say it, repeat it, and try to work on your pronunciation. So that's all I have for today. That's the short lesson. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So normally, what I hope, let me go ahead and escape this, make sure that I can see what everybody else is seeing here. Okay, there I am. So normally what I would hope for this part of the lesson is in the future, if I have people who are here live with me, which I don't have any viewers with me here, but that's okay because this is just the first time. This is the opportunity that you would have to interact, ask questions, practice. We could speak back and forth to each other. Hopefully we could get a few people and have a group discussion and everybody can practice their Spanish. That's my goal. That's what I'd like to see. If it grows in popularity, that'd be great. And if I don't get too much interest, that's fine. I'll just do some quick lessons like this and they'll be available for you on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the better it'll be. And don't forget to like it and share it on Facebook. Thanks, everybody. Muchas gracias. Nos vemos para la próxima.